Thanks to our panelists. Now it's time for Q&A, and we've got a couple of microphones. One on either side. Just make your way to the microphone so we can hear your questions. There's one right there. One right there.
No, I really want
We'll go back and forth.
And they give us a bottle.
I'll give you a couple moments to
We're just
your question.
My name's Natalie Berry, and I'm
You
with
were
PR
called the alpha dog
Newswire.
of the
And
panel.
my question is that today YouTube replaced Insight.
Wait, what was that? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Today YouTube replaced Insight with a new era of analytics, and they're now providing detailed stats about videos. How do you predict or see that changing the landscape of monetizing multimedia?
So if I heard your question correctly, and I'm not sure I did, but correct me where I'm wrong, you're asking how analytics and being able to glean insights out of media like video that wasn't mineable before will change how that's monetized?
Yeah, that's close. Add in the fact that it's from YouTube and it's free.
How analytics will be monetized?
How
I
analytics will
think
change
the
how
fact
video.
that somebody like Rebecca Black can get like a bajillion hits and we actually all click out after 2 seconds, like we'll learn that.
Well, I think also online advertising is broken, right? So right now you say I'm going to buy a banner on TechCrunch from Monday through Friday. Why wouldn't let's just say that I'm HP and I'm going to do that, right? Why wouldn't HP say I'm going to buy a banner on TechCrunch when you have a breaking news story about enterprise computing, right? And I think that that's what analytics affords, right? It affords this ability to say there is X happening, let's put Y with it. And those are the kinds of things I think YouTube is really going for, where they can start to see if there's a cute kitten that's getting 1 million views, and then there's an Occupy Wall Street thing that's getting 1 million views, that they should get different kinds of advertising and different viewers should see them, and it really creates a different business model for them.
Oh.
Is that good?
Over here.
Startups. Plethora of startups. The cost of entry is pretty low. There seem to be a lot of them. And there are not a lot of exit strategies. What happens to all these social media or social startups that are out there looking to get bought, or what?
Crash and burn? No, I think it's a good question. I think a lot of these look like features of other products.
Yeah.
And I think they ultimately become acquired to help augment either the social, mobile, or collaboration strategy of bigger software vendors.
Some of them are starting to fail already. There was a service called Threadsy, which I really liked, and I attempted to log into Threadsy today and discovered it had been gone for a month. And I didn't realize that.
So it was an integral part of your life.
Well, it was at one point.
I always come back to how many social networks and locational apps do companies think I actually want in my life?
Right.
I mean, how many photo sharing apps do we need? And it's like we just keep funding all these things. And I ultimately, some of them will win, some of them are great, but we just don't need all of them, and a lot of Me Too copycat stuff happening in the market right now.
I think, when you mentioned Instagram, there's always going to be that one that kind of rises above the rest, like Dropbox, for example. There's so many other companies that do that, but for some reason, Dropbox just does it best, is getting the most attention, is getting the best funding. It's very, very simple. I mean, Apple's trying to do what Dropbox does, and it's not really working. So
I think it's also, there's two things that are happening. One is that a lot of the number of companies that are getting Series B funding has dropped dramatically over the past 6 months, and that's because they're realizing that they shouldn't be investing in things just because it's a market that other people are winning in. And I think the other thing that's happening is that you have companies that are starting now with a lot of seed funding. I mean, I think there was a journal article recently about how a lot of startups are not doing necessarily venture funding anymore. They're starting with 500 grand in seed funding, and then if things don't work, they either drop off, or you can figure out a business model from something where you don't necessarily need to make a lot of money. If you have 35,000 users that are paying $10 a month, you're paying yours and one other person's salary, which is not bad, or two other people's salary.
Sounds like we're predicting another Sequoia-like hide your kids, hide your wife memo for 2012. Got a question over here?
Julie Gribble from Inner Circle Labs. My question is, can each of you name one startup that you use the product of regularly that launched in the last year, since what you do now is a good predictor of what will happen next year?
Ooh, launched in the last year.
A startup that launched in the last year that what, sorry?
That we use the product.
Often,
Evernote did
that
not
you use the
launch in the
product
last
often.
year.
Can I pull out my phone?
My phone.
I really want to buy a Nest, but they all sold out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Fancy Hands. Fancy
Fancy
Hands is a startup this guy Ted Roden started. It's amazing. He used to work at the New York Times in the research labs a long time ago, but he left and he did a bunch of startups. He was at BetaWorks. So Fancy Hands, I pay $30 a month for this thing, right? And I don't pay for anything. And so what you do is you email it and you say, perfect example, I have a dog and I said, I live in Bernal Heights and I need to get my dog groomed. And I want to get it done tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock and be less than $40. So I send an email to Fancy Hands. Fancy Hands then somebody will go and call all the dog groomers in my neighborhood, and then they set an appointment, and they emailed me, and they said, you and Pixel are booked at 9:30 tomorrow morning, drop her off here. And that was it.
That's great.
I needed to rent a car at the airport. I emailed Fancy Hands. I said, find me the best deal for a car rental for 3 days from LAX, and send me back the best deals. 2 hours later, I get the email back. So that's it.
That's fascinating, but I'm somehow bothered by when you have to say Fancy Hands over and over again. That's really what happened. I think that might be a problem
What?
for them.
Well, it's like I Instagrammed this, or
Right, but there's something about Fancy Hands. I don't know.
It is difficult. People,
Yeah,
people keep telling me, people keep saying, you mean fancy pants?
right.
Wait, was it hands
Fancy
or
pants,
pants?
jazz hands.
Jazz.
Yeah. We will get back to YouTube. I just want to keep you. Yes.
Hi, Jerry Corbett with Red Flag. This year we've seen the demise of Google Health, Google Energy, Microsoft Home, and it looks like the business of home energy management and home health management by the biggies has sort of gone away. Any predictions for the future?
I'll jump in with that one first because I think it's a fascinating question. I think what's going to happen there is similar to what happened to the backup market. Seagate and like all these companies were trying to get us to back up our files and nobody wanted to. It wasn't until Dropbox and others came along to give a different kind of functionality of having your stuff on all these different devices that people actually wanted to do that. I think Nest and companies like it that make management something that you want to do versus something that you should do might actually break through that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this is going to end up coming through the power providers themselves. So we got involved. Our energy company reached out to us. We sort of look like the kind of perfect house. We have the pool running all the time, the air conditioning running. We're wasting a lot of electricity, 50 game systems running, all of that. And they provided us with the tools as part of a pilot project that they were rolling out in certain areas, and it's been great. I mean, I wouldn't have thought to go buy that product myself, but we're using it, and we're really starting to take a better look at what we're doing. So I think coming from the provider is a great way to do that.
Okay. And somebody let me know what kind of time we've got left because I'm getting
Clock down here.
10 minutes. Okay.
75 minutes.
David?
This was a year of the collapse of Solyndra. So what's the prediction next year for clean tech, green tech? We haven't heard anything at all about that part of our world here in Silicon Valley.
I have nothing to.
Green tech.
I would actually follow.
That's why.
I follow on with the Nest prediction that green for green's sake isn't going to get the masses excited.
It's when you figure out a way to make it user-friendly, attractive, and a decent value proposition that actually catches on. I think those sorts of home automation technologies might pull.
I just got a solar panel that charges my phone, and it could I have to go outside and set it up, and it can't be raining because in the solar. It's like, okay, so what am I saving here? A plant that's like this big? I mean, I need to know it just needs to be easier, right? And here's someone who's trying to do it. I'm trying to save that little plant. So I think that it needs to get to a point where there's an actual incentive for consumers for them to want to use this stuff. But Nest, I think, is a perfect example of that. That's something that's being built.
It's cool.
correctly.
You
cool,
want
yeah.
it,
Yeah.
you know?
And
like
it's a
the
thermostat, right?
Yeah.
It's $250
thermostat.
thermostat.
Who
And we're like,
wants a
ooh,
thermostat?
they ran out. When can I get mine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
iPhone. This time of year, I really want one.